Howdy folks, Spencer here, and today I'm going to be attempting to do a solo flawless Guillotine Elite. So I'm doing it on my own, and ideally I'm going to have all of the optionals done with, hopefully, no deaths. The build that I'm taking in here is going to be a variation on the Delkina build that I did a video on in early October, the Isomag meta build. And the changes here are there's a bit more of a focus on survivability. So I've got the shield absorptive frequency generator, the Valdor console on for the shield healing. I have the sensor phantom projector console on here because that clicky is a really crazy good taunt to keep enemies focused on it instead of me. And I have the DPRM on here just as a safety, just in case I really need it. Traits wise, I do have SAT on to get some extra debuff, given that I'm in here solo. I have Energy Refrequencer on for the healing that can do. For Bridge Officer abilities, I've got Hazard Emitters 1 and Ox to Sif on for a little bit more healing. And when it comes to duty officers, I do have Agent Iol from the Delta Operations expansion pack on. This will give me some holy healing while attack pattern beta's up for each shot I fire. And I also have Tyheth on. This is the KDF version of QLL. And basically every time I hit an emergency powered subsystem ability, it's going to clear off all of the debuffs on me. So let's head in here. I'm going to take this slow, pick the Borg off bit by bit. That's really the way to do it. If you run right into the center, you're just going to die. We'll just do this bit by bit. I'm going to hit Tachyon Net Drones when it lets me. The only thing I hate about Tachyon Net Drones is the activation time. I hate any ability in this game that has a really long activation time. Just doesn't feel good. Just stay at the edge, slowly pick the enemies off. And remember, these Mirrorborg do have like a detonate ability if they die close to you, so be careful. And the main stuff you want to do in this first phase, aside from just clearing out the enemies, is down on the platform below. There's a bunch of targets you need to take out. So once you have the enemies cleared, go and take out the 10-dimensional conveyors. And take your time. Don't rush through it. There's no time limit on this queue, so you can spend an hour or two in here if you really want. I'm going to save my Maelstrom for the next time there's a group of, like, spheres or assimilators near me. I'm going to take out some of these other items here on the central platform just so that they're not messing with me later on. And just keep clearing out the ads as you can, because if you let enough of them get out, they can mess with you. Just about there. You can do this a bit faster if you're just like running to each of the locations. I just like to clear out some of this other stuff. Now, for the second phase, you have to activate these stitching anchors and protect them. If you're doing this solo, just do 1 to 2 at a time. 1 is going to be the safest way to go, because if you want all of the optionals, all the marks possible, you don't want any of these to be reset. And what happens is as soon as you activate one of these, it's going to start spawning in some Borg adapters, and if the Borg adapters get too close to them, then it can reset the progress, and if that happens, you do lose those marks that you could be getting. So just stick to 1 to 2 at a time. And for the last 2, I would only do 1 at a time. Something really slowed me there. Yeah, so these adapter things that are shooting them red lasers, just prioritize them, because those are what are going to hurt your progress. Now, once a stitching anchor has progressed through that full bar, it's going to spawn in a simulator on the opposite side of the map. You'll see it fly up through the bottom portal thing here. You do need to take that out. If you fail to take it out, you will fail the entire TFO. So with there being 6 stitching anchors, there will be 6 of those that you have to take out. And just keep clearing the ads as you can. If you have AoE with a grav well, that is going to help you out, of course.
The shield of Stitching Anchor 6 is fully energized. A Borg assimilator is attempting to escape.
Okay, so a Borg assimilator just spawned in on the opposite side from 6. You just saw it come in over by 3. So I do need to run over there and take that out ASAP, because again, if that gets through, then I fail the TFO. Okay, that one's done. Now it's going to be the one from number 5, which will spawn in across at 2. You'll see it come up through the floor of the map here, right below me.
Second assimilator is attempting to escape. Eliminated.
Yeah.
Borg assimilator was destroyed.
Now I'm going to work on anchors 3 and 4. These, if you have a high DPS build, you should be able to work on both of them at the same time. If you're on a lower DPS build, then again, just do 1 at a time. You have as much time as needed, so go as fast as you're capable. And try to clear the ads out as you can, and these assimilators, they can do a lot of damage to you, so you just don't want the progress on an anchor to fully reset, like I said, because you will lose marks if that happens. Okay, Anchor 3 just spawned in its assimilator, so I'm going to need to get across the map here real quick.
A third assimilator is attempting to flee. Do not allow it.
So there's the assimilator. It just spawned in. Go over, take that out quick, and then get back over to 4. Now for the last two, after 4 finishes here, I am going to do them one by one, just because I have found it feels like it wants to spawn in more enemies with those last one, or the last 2. And again, you can see that area around the sphere where it's going to detonate. You want to stay out of that, because that will do a lot of damage to you.
Another Borg assimilator is moving to escape. Intercept and destroy.
There's the assimilator I need to take out. You see how it like flies up from way down below. Those are the ones you have to take out. There's going to be a few assimilators that are just passively floating around the map. You don't want to accidentally focus on one of those instead. You want to make sure you're getting these ones that come up through the floor of the map right after a stitching anchor goes down. Okay, I'm going to work on stitching anchor 2 now. And you can work on these stitching anchors in any order. I just figured I'd go 6 and work the way down. So I'm just doing one at a time here for these last 2, just to play it safe. If you were trying to speed run this, you could go through and like work on 1 and 2 at the same time if you really wanted. When I tried earlier, it felt like I was getting overwhelmed with enemies, but that may have just been my ability timing just really screwing me over. Which does happen in this game. Or you'll get unlucky and have abilities, you know, misfire. Just about died to them spheres. You gotta be really careful. You get too close to them when they're about dead, and that's it. Yeah, definitely, like, focusing on these one by one is slow, but it's safe. Okay, stitching anchor will spawn in now. Or the assimilator, I mean. Yeah, you get too close to any of these big Borg targets in this map when they're dying, and they will take you out with them. Slow and steady wins the race. How you can look at solo content like this. Yeah, without ruin of our enemies on this build, I'm feeling some like cooldown reductions issues. Now for this last one, when it finishes, it's immediately going to put you in a cutscene for the next phase, so just make sure as soon as the cutscene ends that you go and take out the assimilator that spawns in on the other side. So in this case, it should be spawning in on one,
Stitching Echo 1 shield is fully energized.
but it's going to do a cutscene.
Assimilator on an escape vector. Do not allow it to flee.
A cutscene that you cannot skip, so just be careful.
Observe. Something is disrupting the stitching network.
Get over there, take that assimilator out ASAP.
Destroy them both to stabilize the network.
And then the last bit here is to basically just focus on taking out these board tack cubes. And don't be afraid to run away if you need to heal up. Okay, I'm gonna step back here for a minute and just clear these spheres out. Especially with them having that like self-destruct mechanism. I don't want to be anywhere close to a bunch of spheres because they could just instantly nuke you. These cubes do have a lot of HP, 48 million, and they do have abilities on them to like cleanse off some of the dots and debuffs you apply to them. If you have Tachyon Netrons, it's really handy against these tack cubes. It'll cut their shields off, debuff them quite a bit. I'm using that sensor phantom projector to take threat off me. I'm also going to use warp shadows to achieve the same effect. I'm gonna back up again because I've got some spheres coming in around me. My CSV is MIA at the moment. Yeah, having some crowd control is always beneficial. You see, like, I was too close to one of them spheres, and it just took out half my health out of nowhere. That's why you want to be really careful here. I mean, you can die in this, it's just that for what I'm trying to do, I'd rather not. Back on net drones again. Gravel down. DPRM. That's one of them done. Now just this other one that has flown out a little bit. I get sensor phantom projector on it, so it's focused on that. And it's both of these cubes that have like 48 million HP. It's a ridiculous amount. Tachyon Netron's active. I keep hitting my Maelstrom right before my alpha's up. I'll hold my alpha till Maelstrom's available again. Other sensor phantom projectors up. See, that activation time while Tachyon Netrons is like going off is rather annoying. That's why I couldn't fire for a couple seconds. But it's just such a good console. It's just a shame that it's got that long activation time. Ooh, something just about got me. I need to position myself where that tac cube is between me and the rest of the Borg there.
Rear shields failing.
Sensor Phantom Projector will be back up in 30 seconds. Tachyon Net Drones is almost back up. Tachyon Net Drone's going out. But activation time, again, sucks. Sensor Phantom Projector is active. That's what just flipped the cube around there. There we go.
The stitching network is now operational.
Probably can be done a bit faster. I think a properly set up EPG build could probably shave several minutes off if set up right. But that should be all of the optionals here. So 6 out of 6 for the stitching anchors protected, 6 out of 6 for the escaping assimilators destroyed. So yeah, that's fully solo flawless Guillotine Elite. Hopefully you guys enjoyed, and to recap the build again, this is just a variant of the Plasma Delkina that I showed off with the Isomag meta build guide back in October. The big changes here are that I have a bit of survivability on the build. So I do have the Disco Rep 2 piece, the Singularity Core and Shield. So that's some passive hull regen. I've got the Shield Absorptive Frequency Generator or the Valdor console on for the shield healing. I've got the Sensor Phantom Projector console on for the taunt that it has with the Sensor Phantom that it spawns in. Very, very powerful. I have DPRM on. That was just so that I could get a bit more aggressive at points. I dropped the Lorca console for it in this specific environment because I figured that extra bit of survivability would be a bit more beneficial for me. And I did have Tachyon Net Drones on, but for general DPS gameplay, it's not a console that I recommend as much nowadays. It's still really good, but it's that activation time on it that just can really suck if you time it incorrectly. For the specializations, I had Temporal Primary on, just so I'd have continuity in case I did have a sphere to blow up too close to me. I had Strategist Secondary on. For the traits, I was messing around with a whole lot of X's here. This is a recent trait from the Prodigy lockbox. It's actually really good for survivability. So if you're looking for another survivability personal space trait, that's one that you may want to consider. And I had the energy refrequencer trait on for the full healing that can provide. And for the duty officers, again, Agent Aiol. This is the KDF version of Agent Nerul from the Delta Operations expansion pack. There is another variant of it from the recent Prodigy lockbox. It's not quite as good, but that is an alternative. I can't remember the name off the top of my head, though. And then I have Tyheth on. This is a DOF that will clear all debuffs off of your build whenever you hit EPTX abilities. Now, I do want to pull up the parse here real quick, just for those of you that want to take a look at it. Whenever it decides to load here. That was 25 and a half minutes. Not the fastest, but for solo, I think that was fine. But definitely, like I said, I think an EPG build could probably get through this faster. So looking at the player combat analysis report here, my dual heavy cannons obviously came out on top. Complex plasma fire, that's such a powerful trait with these plasma builds. The Maelstrom torpedo did okay. The experimental weapon, the plasma incendiary bombardment. That, of course, does well. That's one of the strongest experimental weapons in the game. It is the strongest if you're using a plasma build. Let's see, anything else of note? Not really anything else of note here in the damage from my ship. And for pets, the Todouge fighter squadron I had on with superior area denial did just under 6k DPS. With the single bay carrier or single hangar bay ships like this, you never get a ton from the hangar pets themselves. And for the healing, my Valdor console in that 25 minutes gave me basically 8.4 million shield healing, so that came out to about 5.45 k healing per second. That can do a lot more depending on the content you're in. I've seen that do up to 40k in like a hive, for example, but in here that looked like it did pretty well. Energy refrequencer gave me about 374 healing per second for my hull. The shield distribution officer, that Agent Nerul or Agent Isle that I'm running, that was 197 hull healing per second. Whole lot X's, which is about 136. And then you could see the 2 bridge officer heals I had on down here. Even though I was spam barring them, they still came in far behind the other heals that I had on the build. So overall, I think that was a nice run. It was certainly faster than the attempt I did on stream a couple weeks back. And yeah, I think there's definitely room for improvement. But overall, I do think Guillotine is a really fun queue. And obviously, if you're running it in a 5-man team, you're going to have a much easier time doing it. But if you do want to try it solo, it is a fun challenge, and there's no time limit. So you can take your time. If you mess up, you can leave it and go right back in if you're on a private, then restart it. But it's a fun queue, and I'm glad to see that they had an elite version of it out so soon. That's going to be it for this little video here. Thank you all for tuning in, and of course, thank you to all channel members and viewers for the continued support. Hope you enjoyed. See you guys around.